actually service on vacation.
Except it was
There's
probably,
dust
How's
on
your
the
chili?
probably ants. Oh, I didn't actually.
Testing.
No, I know you didn't. You're not gonna
Yeah.
anyone stop.
So who are you talking about?
I got a loud enough voice, I don't even
Haley
need
Sue
to use
Robinson.
this, but we'll use
She
it.
leave.
No, she's here. She's gonna
We're
stay.
going to get started here. We have a little bit of
Say hi.
competition tonight.
Oh, yeah, she'll be here.
It's not unusual for Pueblo. We've got several other events. So the Ethos, Brady Murphy. Then we've got Pretty Woman. So I've been getting calls all day long. Gregory, you're recording again, aren't you? Like you did last time? Which we are. And Justin Brager here, who was with us last time. I work with Justin up at CSU Pueblo Media and Entertainment. He's also the filmmaker who did the documentary on Rocky Mountain PBS on the Great Pueblo Flood. He did that with Sam Ebersol and his team. And he's working on another one that is really fantastic. And it's all Pueblo rooted up on the mesa and in other farming areas. So that's going to be exciting. Something you're going to be wanting to know more about. We're going to talk more about. I think you already know about it because we tried to do that little preview. Bud Palmer is a little bit strong in the proprietary measures as when it comes to ownership. But I'm really excited that we're doing the dig again. This time we're not doing it 15 consecutive Wednesdays. And Justin's really happy that we're not doing it live again. But I'll be honest with you, we found out after the first 2 digs that we reached about 17 states. And these were people who were just talking to their family or friends in Pueblo saying, hey, you want to watch us on Wednesday nights? And after a few episodes, we actually were getting responses from people. Some people who lived here for 30 years and then they moved away and they just come back because they own property, or others who have families still here. So that was a lot of fun. But now we're going to make it a little easier on Justin, and we're going to do the same thing, but it's not going to be live. So we will be presenting it and uploading it to the websites and to all of the social media channels. The other thing that's really exciting is the Pueblo Star Journal, Colorado Housing and Finance Authority, the Senate Bar, and as of Monday night, the City of Pueblo, City Council, agreed to support this whole series, so in a financial way. So that just was approved, so we're very, very pleased with that. Seems like they're kind of cutting everywhere, and that's unfortunate, but we're lucky that we're going to be able to take advantage of some extra support, which basically makes it even more accessible to everyone, because it's not free to take care of the videoing and all of the other things that are necessary. But it's really important, and I was thinking about what the theme should be, because when we did the first series, we were just coming out of COVID, and for me, it was really important that, one, sharing stories and breaking bread, which are probably the 2 things that we've been doing since we lived in caves and decided to come out and explore the world. But that was something that we could do, and we did it. And it was really exciting because each speaker represented a great Pueblo story. All of those are online, and the people are still watching them. Some schools are using them in some of their programs on just getting more information and hearing from the first source, hearing from someone that actually was either part of that historical event is really exciting for the kids, because then they actually see them, and then if they see them in town or they come, they go, oh my gosh, you're like a real person. It makes that history approachable, which is something that we've been doing at the Pueblo Star Journal. I'm one of the co-founders, and we're actually in our 4th year now, and we print monthly, and then we have expanded our website. We're getting about 80,000 visitors a month. So we are literally now the busiest website in town, so that's exciting. We still have a lot more to do. We started podcasts, and then we are now, as of next month, going to bring on classified ads, obituaries, and legal notices. And this we've been working on for a year. And it's just another part of how a local newspaper can really be a bridge, can be an agent in bringing people together. So, but one of the things that we've learned is a lot of those stories that we told in the first series really aligned with kind of how the Pueblo Star Journal actually evolved as a news publication. And for those that are familiar with the newspaper kind of history in Pueblo, the Chieftain and the Star Journal were actual kind of competitors at first in the late 1800s. Then they became one, as often happens. And the Chieftain was the morning paper, kind of the hard news. And then the afternoon paper, the evening paper, was the Star Journal. And most people we found out right away when we decided that there are 170,000 people that live in Pueblo County, and we only had like 2 publications. This was before the chieftain was sold. This was before the Pueblo Pulp ceased to exist. And we thought, you know, there needs to be another source. So we thought, let's just dig into our amazing history. Pueblo Star-Journal. We met with Jane Rawlings, and she gave us her blessing. She was very pleased because the community wasn't so happy with how things evolved with the sale. And of course, you can argue about whether the sale to the buyer was the right buyer or not, but in the will, it was dictated that she must sell the newspaper and the proceeds would go to the Rawlings Foundation. So that's kind of how that evolved. She's very pleased now, and her offices are in the same building that the Star-Journal is. So when she comes in, she's always looking for the latest issue. And if you've seen the latest issue, on the cover, Steve Henson, who was with the chieftain for like 49 years, editor for about 19 years, he gave a speech at the Damon Runyon Days, Guys and Dolls Scholars event at the Union Depot. And I heard it, and afterwards, I worked with Steve up at CSU. He's also an adjunct faculty in our department. And I said, Steve, that's a great speech. We need to share that. And I knew he had signed a non-compete. He wasn't able to write for, you know, competitive papers and such. But we were so pleased that we were able to print this. And it's been fascinating just seeing the response from the community, because you can just look at any chieftain going back many, many years, and there's several things consistently from Steve. And he really is the only faculty member that we have up at the university that has had such an extensive and rich and robust, you know, experience in traditional print newsrooms, which at the end of the day, everything, I don't care if it's digital or print, at its root is good storytelling, authentic and genuine storytelling. And that's what he does best. That and the legal aspect of the news business, he actually does that up at CSUP. So we're pleased. But this issue was very exciting because we got a call from the governor, we got a call from CSU Fort Collins president, because we have a section in here, an editorial from one of their departments on deliberative journalism in the Star-Journal. We actually see ourselves not as a traditional print newsroom, but rather we see ourselves as a bridge, as a way for people to actually come together in the community, because that seems to be one of the biggest issues that we have today is, and the pandemic kind of made it even more difficult, people just coming together. And we really do need that. So, and I'll just give one more plug before I introduce Megan, is on April 19th, it's a Saturday, we are taking over the Arts Center, and the Star-Journal has commissioned the Join or Die documentary. It's on Netflix right now. If you've never seen it, it's a fascinating documentary, and it's based on Robert Putnam, who is a university professor, and about 25 years ago, he wrote a book called Bowling Alone. And if you've read it, you remember the title, but the premise is that our whole country, our democracy, is rooted in this notion that we're all member of clubs, you know, society clubs, church clubs, you know, quilting bees, all of that. Well, that's kind of changed quite a bit. We don't go to church as often. We don't see dinner parties as often. We don't see the, you know, the attendance, and you can talk to any club or organization. And getting new members is really, really difficult these days. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to show the documentary. It'll be free to all the guests. And we've invited every single club in town, from, you know, hand weavers to D60, D70, to Kiwanis, to, you know, the Boys and Girls Club, to sports, you name it. We were inviting them to set up a free booth up in the huge, the Jackson Conference Center in the back there. So after the documentary is shown, we will invite everyone to go and join a club, because the data says if you join one club today, you've increased your life expectancy by 50%. So he's got the data. So, and if you don't find a club that you like, we have some consultants that will help you create one, and you can start signing people up. So you're never restricted. So that's a free event on April 19th. So let me just introduce Megan. Many of you and most of you know, and I should also mention some of the other speakers in the series are here tonight. I know we have Haley Sue Robinson she's the Public Information Officer from the City of Pueblo. You can raise your hand. You're in December. Then we have Rachel Cookskill, who's with Fit Instincts. If you've read the current issue of the Pueblo Star Journal, there's a beautiful story about Rachel and her client Lindsay Reeves, and that was written by one of our great writers, but Rachel does the monthly wellness section called Thrive in the newspaper. And then Jocelyn Martinez, you do so many amazing things, and Jocelyn, I work with her in several different capacities, from food and wellness to the Historic Preservation Commission. And what month do I have you down? October. And Jocelyn has Soul Smiles, so she does everything from foods, custom foods. These are meals that are really tailored towards the individual, and she makes them, they've got new menus, delivers them, people pick them up, and then she's a mixologist. She's working with us to produce, in conjunction with the Pueblo Food Guide, a little black book which is going to tell you where to get the best cocktails in town. So that's going to be a fun project. And then we have Shannon in the back. Shannon Palmer is an amazing creative and artist filmmaker. She also painted one of the murals at 45 degrees on the Levy mural. So Shannon is, I see her in all different capacities, and you can find her often in the Grove at Blowback Gallery down there. So Shannon's going to be one of the other, what month do we have?
Good question.
I'll have to look. But we've got Tyler Schown, who is a filmmaker from Jolly Mo Productions. He'll be next month. And then we've got Antonio Huerta. He's actually Senator Hickenlooper's representative. He basically runs the office here in Pueblo. Then we've got, and I'm totally drawing a blank right now. They're not here. Javier Quinones, thank you. These are our season ticket holders over here. Every dig, they're always here. Corrine and her sister here, that's great. But Javier Quinones, he does the Multicultural Festival, he does the Hip Hop Festival, and he's doing an amazing program now with young children. It's a sewing club, and they're teaching them how to sew.
Cute.
And just another way to bring kids together and actually have some additional new skill sets. And then we have Gavin Grant. Gavin Grant was a child music prodigy up at County High, and when he graduated, he got a full ride to CSU Pueblo, and he's doing both music and also engineering. And I'm really excited because I've asked him to do like an improvisational night with music. So we're trying to get a piano in here and everything, because he's really that talented. So no script, he just goes and plays music with people that are around the audience. So I think those are most of them. And I'm just going to do a brief introduction, Megan. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll let you do that part. But, and I've been working with the Pueblo Food Project actually before it even started, when the city actually was commissioned and they put the whole project together. But my favorite part is volunteering for the Cooking Matters program, which I hope some way we can find the funding, because
It's coming.
It's great, but I would do it once a month, working on Saturdays, and there would be a team of volunteers. I know Jocelyn was a big volunteer for that too. But we actually do all the prep work for about maybe 10 to 12 families that come in, and they actually learn how to make food, and then they take the ingredients home and they do it at their home. And I was religious about volunteering. It was just so much fun, not only just to do the work in the kitchen, but then to interact with the families and the kids that would come. So Megan's topic tonight is connecting to your local food system with the Pueblo Food Project. And Megan posed some questions. What does it mean to be a part of your local food system? How do you do it? Why does it matter? Let's explore together the landscape of our local food system. So we're going to be kind of digging into that, but let me give you a little background here too. That Megan was born and raised in Pueblo, Colorado, a 6th generation Pueblo. She's a proud graduate of Central High School and Colorado State University Pueblo. She received a degree in communications with a minor in leadership. Megan is happily engaged to her partner, Kevin, and owner of a darling corgi, Jerry Jeff. It's a great name. I love dogs. Megan is an assistant tennis coach at Central High School. Do you work with Steve Henson there?
I know him pretty well. I play with his wife a lot.
Yeah. That's the other thing about Steve Henson. He actually is this amazing competitive tennis player, and he teaches the girls at Central High. And also serves as a board member with the CSU Pueblo Alumni Association, and is a certified Colorado Master Gardener. So Megan currently serves as a co-director at the Pueblo Food Project. She started with the Pueblo Food Project as an intern during her last semester of college in 2020 and was brought into a full-time position 3 years ago. Megan has found great passion and connection in the world of food systems and the impact of food skills, education, thriving local food economies, and healthy food access in our communities. She is deeply committed to the Pueblo community and will continue to dedicate her love, time, and heart to Pueblo. That is why she is starting our series, the Young Leaders Series. So thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Gregory. Very, very happy to be here. I'm going to grab my notes just real quick, just in case. You never know. I'm very thankful to be kicking off the DIG series this year. A little nervous, but thankful nonetheless. Gregory already mentioned the amazing leaders here that I'm so lucky to be considered with. I worked with Haley Sue forever. Jocelyn is one of our closest partners at PFP, and I absolutely adore Shannon. So I'm really glad to be here and talking to all of you. So before I started, I really wanted to invite everyone to take a moment to close their eyes and take a deep breath. I'm going to give you a moment to connect with something that matters to you. So if you can think of a meal that you've had recently or a meal that means a lot to you that maybe your grandma or your mother or someone important to you makes, I just want you to think about how that texture feels, how it smells, how it makes you feel. And take one more deep breath and let it go. All right, you can open your eyes. I just wanted to get you in the space, starting to think about food. And it's also really important to us at PFP that we invite people in and ground in who we are and what we care about. And food is what we do, so the best way we can connect is with things that we're familiar with. Does anybody want to say what their meal was, just real quick from the audience?
Hamburger stroganoff.
Ooh, stroganoff, okay.
Grade school days.
Christmas chilaquiles.
Oh, chilaquiles, okay. Thanksgiving dinner. Last one.
Mom's green chili.
My mother's green chili. Again, I'm so excited to be here, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Megan. I'm a co-director at Pueblo Food Project. I've already said I'm a very, very proud Pueblo native. I've spent the last 5 years working with the Pueblo Food Project and don't plan to end anytime soon. 6th generation Puebloan and very happy to continue my work in Pueblo. The only time I haven't lived in Pueblo was a very small stint in Fort Collins, and I left very quickly to come back home because I just couldn't take it. Just to reiterate, I'm a Colorado Master Gardener. I am a CSU alumni, a very proud mother to a very cute corgi, and I'm getting married later this year. And that's just a little bit about me. But before we move on, I really want to express my deep gratitude and appreciation for the city that I live in. I love Pueblo so much, and I've dedicated my life to making an impact here. And again, so thankful to be thought of amongst the other incredible leaders in Pueblo. All right, so we're gonna get going. Can I not use this? Can I not use the mic? Can you hear me?
What?
You can't hear me, Graham?
Use the mic.
Okay, use the mic. Sorry, it's one half second behind, but it's okay. We'll make it work. Okay, so as you can see here, this first slide says your food system, and OUR is underlined for a reason, and that's because it's not just your food system, it's our food system. Nobody has the opportunity to opt out of the food system. Everybody eats. So it's important to think about how your impact impacts everybody else. So today during this presentation, we're going to be investigating what a local food system is and how you're participating in it now. Why is it important to invest in your local food system? And what does our local food system look like? And then lastly, how do you contribute meaningfully to your local food system? So also during this presentation, like I did earlier, I'm gonna ask you to kind of respond and interact with me a little bit. I'd hate to be talking at you for the next 40 minutes. I'd love to like have a conversation, and I'm very excited to hear what things you have to say. So please don't be shy. You weren't already. So again, love to hear from you. All right, so what is a food system? First question posed here, what does a food system mean to you? What do you think of when you hear the word food system?
All the working parts of it.
All the working parts of a food system.
I think of from seed to, harvest to, thank you, harvest to creating something that is going to bring nutrition and that.
Yeah, seeds to harvest to creation of meals, which is what Jocelyn does for a living. Do we think of local, like thriving food economies or helpful food access? Those are all pieces of the food system. So our working definition of what a food system is the network of activities that produce, process, distribute, and consume food. It includes the people, organizations, and infrastructure involved in feeding a population. So everything that we've mentioned between these people are huge pieces of the food system. To get a little bit more technical, we can use this model as a way to explain how the food system functions. So I like to think it goes from soil to soil if done perfectly. So we start with produce or animals that then go to processing, which might be yogurt, ground beef, cut vegetables, frozen vegetables, even Cheetos. So that's the processing piece. And then to distribution. So it gets to the place where it gets sold. So that's a grocery store, a farmer's market, or even a food pantry. So it just depends on where we're ending up. And then access is the place where people grab the food, take it home to then consume. And consuming is part of cooking and making food for yourself as well. And then lastly would be recovery. Recovery would be the ability for food to be redistributed back into the soil. This is not always possible in the system that we have. Composting isn't widely available, so that's okay. But in a perfect world, all the food that we create from the soil would then go back into the soil in recovery. So one thing to think about here is how many steps it takes for a piece of food to go through this entire cycle. So if we're thinking about, let's say, like an apple that goes into apple pie, how many stops would it have before it ends up in your hand and in your oven and in your belly? And there's a difference, big difference between how an apple gets to you from a frozen pie that you get from the store versus a pie that you maybe get from a bakery versus a pie that you decided you were going to go pick an apple out in the world and use it for a pie. So we really think about how we can decrease stops, because when we decrease the stops in between the food system, we are closer to our food, it becomes more nutrient dense and more beneficial for our health. So right now, the current system that we're living under is a very centralized food system. We go to grocery stores where food came from that we're really not sure where it came from. And that's not on accident. It's a system that's been created for us. And some of the reasons for that are technological advances. For example, just the simple invention of a refrigerated truck has completely changed the way our food system works. It gave us the ability to go longer distances without food going bad. Policy change has definitely affected how farming works. And then the corporatization of agriculture Production, processing, and grocery has changed significantly how our food system looks. So a thing to think about here too is like mom and pop stores don't really exist anymore. You can't walk to the corner and get the food that you need for your family. It takes a significant amount of time out of your day to go to a store and get what you need and come back and come home. And even that's true for a farmer's market or a farm stand. So it's very important to think about how far away we are from food than we used to be, because it wasn't always like this. The food that was grown in Pueblo used to feed all of the people in Pueblo, and over the last 30 to 40 years, that has completely changed, and our food is completely focused on getting it from a grocery store and then taking it home to yourself. And that's fine. Again, it's nobody's fault that we're at this place we're at. But it's important to think about that this is the state of the food system, and it's helpful for us to understand how we got here so that we can start to decentralize the food system and make food widely available that's fresh and local for everyone. So I'm going to bring it back and ask another question to everyone. How do you participate in the food system right now?
Largo Vista Ranch.
So you shop at Largo Vista, which is awesome,
Farms.
and farms. How many of you eat? Yeah? Do all of you? Yeah, you go to the grocery store.
I'm going to Pueblo Diversified Industries, the Fresh Colorado Greens.
Yes.
Getting my lettuce now.
Yes,
Amazing.
PDI has an amazing program. They're growing hydroponic lettuce. So fantastic. Excited to hear that. I mean, yeah, do any of you buy clothes? That's agriculture too. I mean, there are so many ways that we participate in the food system. I mean, if you bake, if you cook, if you drive by a farm, you are participating in the food system. Again, there's no one that can opt out of it. We all eat. We all eat food. And we all love good food, so why don't we make it a little bit better, right? So we're gonna take a little look at what the food system looks like specifically in Pueblo. Sorry about that. Pueblo is very special. We have a very unique and very rich tapestry of food that makes our city so special and so unique. Oh, wait a second. I was supposed to do a disclaimer. So looking at the food system means looking at the realities of how our food system reaches people, and unfortunately, not everybody has the food that they need. So this next slide is specifically about people who need extra food access and extra help. So this is not the fun numbers about how many farms we have and how much we produce, so just fair warning. The reality for Puebloans is that 42,000 people are on SNAP benefits. This was the most accurate number I found from 2022 from the Census Bureau. About 12,000 people receive WIC benefits. 24.5% of Puebloans live in poverty, and because when we look at this number, we can assume that anybody who's living at or near the poverty line and below is food insecure. The first thing that leaves a budget is food. So people pay for their rent, their utilities, their insurance, and then maybe they pay for food. We know that 4,000 people visited RMSER food pantry in 2024. We can tell you that 80% of residents have to travel over 2 miles to get to a grocery store. So if you imagine you don't have transportation, it's very difficult to get the food you need to your house and to your family. But the good thing about these numbers is that while people are enrolled in entitlement programs, they also redeem those programs at a very high rate. We have the highest rate of redeemed WIC, SNAP, and Double Up dollars in the state, which is a very positive thing. That means people are getting the things that they need to feed themselves and their families. At the farmers market last year, $31,000 was redeemed in Wix, Snap, and Double Up food bucks, and that's just from 2 days a week at 2 farmers markets for, 20 weeks? That's a very significant redeem number, so we're very excited about that. It means that people are proud to get the food that they need. So I'm gonna ask a question here. 1 in 7 households experience hunger in the United States, and of course, no one has to answer, but it's important to understand that the people around you have experienced hunger. So if maybe you wanna give a nod or raise your hand or even share something, have any of you experienced hunger in your life? Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being brave to share that. It's more than just who's in this room, it's everybody who's in this room. So many people have spent time not being able to buy the food that they needed. So it's important to recognize how important it is to support each other and love our food system very well. So we can move on to some of the happier and a little bit more positive stats in Pueblo. We have 758 farms in Pueblo in our little section of farmland. We earn over $500,000 in farm sales every year. We have 2,000 acres of vegetable production and 2,000 acres of livestock production. We have over 100 locally owned restaurants and over 60 food product producers. So that might be someone like Jojo Sriracha who makes sriracha, or a candy maker or something like that. So we have lots of producers and lots of people who are passionate about food. At least 60% of every dollar you spend locally stays in the community. So that's why it's so important to buy food at farms, go to local restaurants, and support local businesses, because that money stays in our community. So again, I'm gonna ask you another question. This one's a little bit more fun. What are your favorite local spots? Max. Oh, we love Max. Gas station burritos.
Beer Barrel, Papa Jose's.
Mill Stop, Beer Barrel, Papa Jose's. Mill Burgers.
Beulah Inn.
The Beulah Inn is local too, yeah. So the Senate. Gagliano's. I will probably die with like a package of Gagliano sausage in my grave, because it's my absolute favorite. I eat it probably once or twice a week. I will die on that hill. Gagliano sausage, best Italian sausage of all time. 100%. I know everyone agrees. And that brings me right into my next point. Pueblo has such a rich history and tradition of food. We are so proud of the things we make and the things we have. Green chili and tamales, kielbasa, Dutch lunch. I can't tell you how many times I've had a conversation with someone, they're like, what is Dutch lunch? I'm like, what do you mean, what's Dutch lunch? It's Dutch lunch. I'm a personal fan of kielbasa. I go to Eiler's Tavern. I love our Slovenian tradition in Pueblo. Italian sausage, like we were just talking about, Gagliano's, but there's also so many other places that make incredible Italian sausage. I love Musso's and their bada bing sandwich. And then Podica, just kidding. Pizza. We have so much rich history in our foods that combines so many cultures, and that creates such a vibrant and incredible food system. So we can't take those things for granted. We are so lucky that as a small town, we have so much different areas of history that bring us really incredible food. I looked up this one today, just thinking that would be a fun little stat. 71% of Americans have a secret recipe. And I believe it, because I don't know anybody who doesn't have a secret recipe from their mom or their grandma or something. So again, I'm gonna ask you the question. What's your special item that you guys make at your house, in your household, in your family?
Garlic yogurt.
Garlic yogurt.
Shrimp puffs.
Shrimp puffs.
Green chili Doritos enchilada casserole.
Green chili Doritos enchilada casserole. All right.
Tell us the one you made up.
Tell us. Oh, I made up a recipe at our house called Bean Surprise. Because unfortunately my dad is here.
Does it have beans in it?
That's a surprise.
Persimmon cookies.
What?
Persimmon cookies.
Ooh, persimmon cookies. That sounds delicious. Do you guys have any?
We made this. Call it noodles and cheese. It's really just sort of like soup.
Noodles and cheese. I love that.
Spaghetti noodles, milk, and American cheese.
I love it.
Milk toast.
Milk toast. I've never had milk toast. Milk toast.
Yes, milk toast.
That sounds good. Okay, well, I'm a baker by trade. My grandma, my lovely grandma, is here who gave me all my recipes. I personally think our chocolate chip cookies are the best that have ever existed. If you have an opinion, I don't care. Our chocolate chip cookies are the best. But it's so special to have those things, and we can't take those things for granted, that we have so much knowledge and so much love to share around food, and that's what those recipes are, and that's what a lot of our Pueblo restaurants, local restaurants, and local businesses are sharing with us, are their very special love for food. So I just want you to take a moment and just be appreciative of the amazing history and tradition we have around food in Pueblo. So I'm gonna ask another question, which is, why do you participate in the food system? Does what I said kind of change how you felt? At least so far. I can answer first if everyone's feeling shy. I participate in our food system because I know that it impacts our food economy and it impacts how many people are getting the food that they need. And I'm very thankful and happy that we have such a cool and amazing food system in Pueblo.
I like knowing where my food comes from.
Yeah, we like knowing where our food comes from. That matters.
I want to build a more resilient community.
Yeah. Participating in your local food system creates more resilient food systems.
Just communities in general.
Communities. I'm not sure. Okay. Wait. It seems to be, it's kind of working now. Okay. Anybody else? Why do you participate in the local food system?
As a teacher, I saw children who were hungry,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a concern.
Yeah, watching people be hungry, watching kids be hungry is really hard, and it makes you want to do something.
For me, it's kind of nostalgia. We grew up in Rocky Ford, which is an agricultural community, and weekend trips out to the farms, to the farm stands, to Millburgers. It brings that emotion back immediately, and the value of the hard work that goes into that, and you know, and I appreciate that hard work. And then we're just blessed to have the chili that we get here, and so it's always great to get that, you know, every year, and it just brings back a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah, a lot of nostalgia, a lot of understanding of how much hard work went into creating the food that we have. Thank you for everyone that answered, by the way. Okay, so now we're going to take it a step back, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what I do every day, all the time, for the Pueblo Food Project. And for those who don't know, Pueblo Food Project is a community-led coalition focused on creating a more vibrant, equitable, and nutritious food system for every eater in Pueblo County. And we do that in a few ways, which I'm going to get to right now. We invest in the local food system by having a robust community garden system. There are about 12 gardens that we help support and have started in Pueblo County. And they provide food in a lot of different ways. So for example, we have a garden at RMSCR Empowerment Center. All of the food grown there goes into the food pantry at RMSCR, or the extra produce goes to the Backyard Growers Alliance, which gives free produce to people who come to the farmers market on the east side. And then there's a lot of education around community gardening, so we teach people how to grow their own food and also what to do with it. So we don't just have a class that's like, this is how you grow basil. We also have our class also includes like, you can make pesto out of this, you can use basil in this way, you can dry basil and use it this way. So there's a lot of applications for what we do. We also have a lot of food skills education that goes right along with that education at community gardening. So we have cooking classes, nutrition classes, and food preservation classes, all aiming at increasing the food skills that people have regularly. We've done peach canning, we're about to do a pickling class, and we've cooked just about everything in the book at our community meal prep classes. We've made green chili, pasta, homemade pasta. Oh my gosh, we have made everything. It's so, I can't even pick. But it really helps bring people closer to their food because one, we buy as much local as possible when we have those foods. So we go out to the farms first and then get the extra things that we need from the store. So people are using fresh bell peppers, fresh zucchini, fresh squash directly from a farm when they come to our classes. We also have the community food pantry. This functions a lot more like a food bank instead of a direct to client. We purchase only local foods that have a focus on being culturally relevant and dense in nutrition. So a lot of proteins, cheese, and beans that go directly to pantries to then give out to the community. Again, the focus is that people are getting nutritious foods that often they're not able to get through the charitable food system. And particularly when you buy local, it's much more high quality than it would be if you get it from Walmart or anywhere else. We also have the Entrepreneur Development Program. So far, we've graduated 30 people from this program, and as far as we know, at least 28 of those businesses are still functioning well right now, which is pretty incredible. We just started our 4th cohort, and this is a 16-week semester-style class where they learn menu planning, purchasing, packaging, finance, marketing, and all of those cool things to help improve their business or really get it off the ground. We also have the Sun Soil Water Summit, which if you looked on your table, there's a flyer for. It's our biggest event of the year and our biggest fundraiser. We have a weekend of events where we honor amazing local leaders who have done incredible things in the past year in our food system. And then we learn for an entire day at a conference about food issues. And we also have the opportunity for people to learn things that if they're not really regularly involved in food work, they can come and learn about composting or herbs for your health, things like that are really fun for people to be able to learn if they're maybe not super involved in agriculture or food systems work. And finally, we advocate for our community. Pueblo Food Project is first and foremost a coalition. All of our programs that I just spoke about have been created because of the want of the community and the needs that we had as a community, and we will continue to do that work. We have an opportunity now as a group to really participate in advocacy in a new way. We used to be an entity of the city of Pueblo. We have since found new fiscal sponsorship that really opens up the door for us to make policy change in our local and state governments. But overall, local food is what we value most. If we're getting a meeting catered, it's coming from a local business. If we are buying food for a cooking class, it's coming from a local farm. If we're even talking about food, the only thing we're talking about is local food. That is our biggest priority, no matter what. It's the through line for all of the work that we do, is that our food be from Pueblo and given to people in Pueblo. So I'm going to pose another question to the crowd, which is, now that you've listened to me for a while, and you maybe know a little bit more about your food system, or maybe I've told you everything you already know, what can you do to make an impact? Shop local. Shop local. Shop local.
Volunteer.
Volunteer. Buying local is cool.
Share what we learned tonight with other people.
Yeah, share what you learned tonight with other people.
And encourage people to come to Pueblo and buy.
Yeah, encourage people to go buy their produce here. There's so many things you can do. So we want to emphasize that no action in the food system is too small. So maybe that's spending more money at the local farms. Maybe it's starting to compost, but maybe that's making a meal for your neighbor with local ingredients. Maybe that's taking food to your friend who's sick, because your contribution in creating good food and sharing it with people matters more than you know. And again, we have so many incredible food traditions in Pueblo that are worth sharing. So if you have a recipe and you want to share it with people, next time think about like making a little extra and giving it to your friend, giving it to your coworker, giving it to your grandma. All of the contributions are so important, and sharing your food tradition has so much value in the creation of a positive and well-working food system. But just in case none of that really resonates with you and you want to get a little bit more empowered, you can join the Pueblo Food Project Coalition. So up here is like a QR code. You could do that, or you could just talk to me later and I'll start sending you emails. Many of you are already getting those emails, so thanks for coming and supporting. And just one last plug before I close out and let you all go. Our Sun Soil Water Summit is coming up very soon. There's a lot of incredible events happening. We have other pop-up events that are focused on community organizations that are doing really awesome things. So like, for example, I was talking about Gagliano sausage. You can learn how to make Gagliano sausage at this event. You just have to buy a ticket.
Vince gonna teach?
Vince is teaching.
Oh my God.
Vince is teaching. And that's just a super special thing to learn and have in our community. So if you have any questions, please let me know. There's a flyer in front of you. But it's our biggest event of the year. We're very excited, and there's so many ways to get involved and participate. And that's all for me. I really deeply appreciate all of you for coming and enjoying the time together. I'm very, very, very thankful to be a part of the DIG series, and very, very proud of the work that I get to do in Pueblo, and eat local.
I just have one question, and then others if you do. Given what's happening in Washington, D.C., with a lot of the cuts, when you look at where your revenue sources are, your funding, what do you see happening? Because we're hearing about these trickle down from federal to state to local, and I would just be curious what you're recognizing.
Yeah, that's a great question. There is a lot of uncertainty happening across nonprofits and government organizations. We are lucky that we are currently funded by private foundations. We actually, our fiscal sponsor right now can only take so much federal funding, so we haven't been applying for federal funding. So for right now, we're safe. That doesn't mean things won't change. It doesn't mean that our private donors aren't getting federal funds that are then funding us. So we're playing the waiting game, but we're also very thankful that nothing has come up the pipe for us. So we'll be able to just keep chugging forward for now.
What food banks, in terms of if people are being laid off and it's harder to actually get food or accessibility, do you anticipate, there's always been a demand, I'm just curious if that's the one area.
Yeah, we're definitely anticipating in the next few months seeing a significant decline in the food that pantries are able to get. A lot of that funding for pantries does come from federal resources, but thankfully in Colorado there are a lot of opportunities for private foundations, but it's really anybody's best guess at what's really going to happen, and it's unfortunate, and a lot of people are very scared, and we hope it's not as bad as we imagine, but we'll see.
When are you going to start planting?
when are we going to start planting? Well, it depends. But for the most part, we usually plant everything around Mother's Day, so a little bit late May, early June for all of the community gardens. We will be having a planting party. We usually do, so that will be going out on our social media if you want to participate in getting some gardens planted this year. Any other questions?
Do you have, I know this probably counts, do you have people who own chickens? That are you a good resource for little backyard chicken farmers?
Maybe not the best